So again, we're going to go live. We're going to go live. Here we go. We're going to go live. Oh, I got to move this. All right. So maybe I should start like, how do you know how to count? Anybody know how to count? I know how to count. I could use an abacus to count. Boom! Oh, hi. Good evening. Welcome. I am counting on the abacus. What is an abacus? We're going to be learning some math, and I might be late, but it depends on if we're all anxious to learn how to count on the abacus. This is an abacus. This abacus helps me count, and then after this, we actually can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. But the first thing we need to do is we need to understand, how do we count on this thing? This thing is called an abacus. An abacus is a counting tool. Abacus, in long time ago words, it means moving pebbles. Okay, but let's move some pebbles. Let's move some beads, and we're going to count with 1. That's easy, right? Like you could see that this is 1. Now, how do I know that this is counted? I know this is counted because this horizontal bar that I'm pointing at, this horizontal bar, when the beads are touching this horizontal bar, we're now going to learn how to notice that this is called counted, right? So if you notice all these columns are the sticks that's in the middle that holds the beads. These columns are all 0, except for this one. Now, question is why do we start here? The reason why we start here, because if you notice, I have a dot, and this dot tells me, or it indicates that this is going to be my ones place. Hi everybody, welcome, come on in. So what we're going to do is we are going to be counting, and we're going to still count. I mean, counting is pretty special. So what we're going to do is we're going to count to 2. How do I know that this is 2? Again, if you notice, there's 2 beads touching the horizontal bar. This horizontal bar is what tells us that the beads are counted. And as we continue to count, you'll notice that the beads will be moving towards the bar. So when we look at the columns, this is 0. I'm sorry, this is 2. These are zeros. How do I know? Because none of the beads are touching this bead. So then we're going to continue on, and we do 3. Maybe I should get better flashcards. So this is 3. Well, this is not 3. This is 3. And so when we look at it, we have 3 on the abacus. When we're looking at our abacus, the thing here is we're making sure that these beads are touching the beam. When the beads are touching the beam, then that means that it's counted. So we know with these columns, this column has 3, but this one doesn't have anything. So that would be 0. So because these are 0, then these are called clean. 0. That doesn't they're just 0. And so the next one is 4, right? I mean, kind of predictable because we're just counting. So we have 4. How do I know? 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like how we subitize. Just like how we look at a die, right? We know that this is 4. Notice I have 4 dots on this die. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the same thing with the abacus. I have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy to see, right? Super easy. Easy to use. Easy to use. Simple to use, easy to understand. I'm gonna use it. Simple to use, easy to understand. So how do I know? Well, when we look at it, the beads are touching this horizontal bar. The horizontal bar is what we know that we count the beads. When we count the beads, then we know that this is going to be 4. Easy to use, no? Simple to use, easy to understand. So remember, these are my columns, and all of these columns are 0. This is 4. Now notice I don't have any beads. I don't have any more beads. I want to count to 5. Now how do I count to 5? Welcome everybody. How do I count to 5? Well, we have the top bead. That's what this thing. So if you look at our horizontal bar and we move the top bead, that is what 5 is. But this is not 5. This is 5. How do I know? Because I only want the top bar to touch the horizontal bar. The horizontal bar is what tells me. What does it mean to be the top bead? It's the one bead that's on top, is above the horizontal bar. So when I look at it, this is what top is, and these are the bottom. So if I notice, when you notice that the top bead, this is touching the horizontal bar. Hi, thank you so much for sharing my live. Go ahead and ask me any questions about abacus. Ask me questions about abacus, and I will let you know. Questions about abacus. Now, what is an abacus? An abacus is a counting tool. Why do we do counting tools? Because it's the best thing next to sliced bread. Anyways, that's a very old term, and my son was like, "What does that mean? The best thing next to sliced bread?" That's how old I am. Okay, so let's start counting. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We know that this is 4 because all the beads are touching this beam. When the beads are touching the beam, we know that this is counted. So we have 4 that's counted, but this is not 4, right? This is 5. Notice there's no more beads touching, there's no more beads to make it a 5. To make it a 5, it will always be the top bead, no matter what. No matter what. No matter what. Hi, are all the blue beads, are all the blue on the top? Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Sculpted by Sequoia. Oh, I love Sequoia. I went to go visit Sequoia National Park. It was so beautiful. So beautiful. So when we're going to, let me, you know what? Okay. So if you notice when we do 6, right? We do 6. We're going to do 6. We know what 6 looks like. I just wanted to show what 6 looks like because I enjoy pictures. So if we notice that this is 6, how do I know that this is 6? We have 5, we have 6. How do I know? Because all the top beads, just like I said, just the top bead is a value of 5. And then we have all the bottom beads is a value of 1. So the one question is, why start in the middle of the abacus? Oh, yeah, to count 5. Why do I start? Oh, it's not really quite in the middle. What it is I'm actually starting where the dot is. This dot tells me where the ones place is because I want to be able to label where I am. So if you notice on this specific abacus, I started in this side of it because I have one dot here, but you could use this one depending on how big your number is. Now, when we look at the abacus, we can actually have a big number, right? So when we look at it, this could be the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and the 10,000. Or if we start here, then we can have decimals. So it'd be the ones, the tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths, the 10,000ths, and then the 100,000ths. But why do I start in the middle? Because that's where the dot is. If you had a bigger one, it'd be the same concept. If you had a bigger one, it's the same concept. It's just not as colorful. This one is 13 columns. And if you notice, for 13 columns, I would start in the middle just because then I would have equal amounts of big numbers and equal amounts of smaller decimal numbers. That's what it is, decimal numbers. Because on the abacus, we can actually do decimals. Yeah, oh yeah, you're welcome. Let me know if you have any questions. There's no stupid abacus questions. So please ask away, and let me know. Because, as people come in, I know I have to start over and just tell people how to use the abacus, because when you look at it, it doesn't look anything special. But when you see it and you know how to use it, it's actually fantastic. It makes everything simple. It makes everything simple to use. No, was it simple to use, easy to understand? I love that. Okay. So, simple to use, easy to understand. Simple to use, right? Because all we're doing is we're moving all these beads, right? Simple to use, easy to understand. So I'm going through and I'm going to start doing this. How young have you seen a child use this? As young as 3 years. That's when they start understanding their numbers and they start understanding, like, this is one, like one die, right? You start counting, and then as they start jumping, and you can count their steps, you can count their fingers, you can count their toes. And as you start counting that, just like when you count your fingers, you can actually add the fingers to the beads. So what I would do would be like, okay, this is 1, remember this is 1, and you'd use different things to show and count 1. But the youngest that I've had, my student is 3 years old. He's 4 now. I've had him for about a year and a little bit. And, he's still learning to see his numbers, but I'm actually starting to get him to learn how to do adding and subtracting, which is really quite exciting. It's really exciting when they get it. But what I do is I do bead recognition. So to do bead recognition, we first understand like how to do from 0 to 1. 0 to 4 is the first lesson. And depending on how quickly they pick up or how slow they pick up, it is at their own pace, right? But I'm trying to make activities engaging for the students so they can, go through. And so I have it where, we understand, and then there's tracing, and then after there's tracing, I get them to like try to do a correlation. Like they have to count, right? So they count the numbers, they write the number, and then they find the abacus. And so this was like one of the activities that I created, and this is the book that I created for preschool specifically, because in abacus, what I noticed, we actually start children at 5 waiting to get them to already know their numbers. But I realize when I'm coming down this journey to introduce Abacus to the internet, I'm like, no, you know what? We need to start earlier than just 5. We should start when they are like starting learning, like in general, because there's no harm. There's no harm in showing them that if you have one pen, then this is what one looks like on the abacus. I don't think that there's any harm. It would build them. It would build their number sense a lot quicker, because you have a physical thing in their hand that they can actually manipulate and they can touch. I mean, they're gonna play around with it, right? They're gonna flip it over and they're gonna think it's a car. It's a tool. But it is what it is, right? Kids will be kids. And so you could use it as a back rub if you really wanted to. But what it is, depending on how like the kid picks it up. And it does take time, right? Because it is such a different thing. So, I mean, you could do dots too, but as you do dots, like dots. Do I have dots here? No, I don't have dots here. But I mean, you could do dots too, right? And you just start counting it. So this one is a pixel art, and I have it where they would figure out the number here, and then they would have to do number recognition. So it wasn't just solely my focus here for this book was to try to get the number and bead recognition. So, if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you so much for the hearts. So we're going to continue to count because I'm still counting. So we have our 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, the reason why we start here is because we have a dot. And this dot tells me we are using this as the ones column. So when we do the ones, notice that there's not enough beads. Ooh, sorry. Notice that there's not enough beads for 5. So that's why we have the top bead. So just like this one, this has a top bead as well. This top bead is the same thing as this one. So it functions the same. It's just different colors. That's all. So depending on like sometimes, and I was noticing, maybe the colorful one is overstimulating. You could use this one and it's perfectly fine. Depending on how old the kids are, I would start them at 7 columns just because it's just nice and small. But they're the same size. If you look, they're the same size. They are exactly the same, like the same height and stuff. So it's not the size that matters. What matters is like it's colorful, but when they get older, they might think it's kind of boring. So you might want to graduate them to the 7 columns. And that's what I would do. So when my student becomes a little bit older, maybe when he comes 5 or 6, if he's still with me, then I will graduate him to the 13 columns. And it's kind of fun because then they feel like that they're big, like an adult. All right, so we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, and again we're doing here because this is where my dot is, and my dot is where I want my ones place. So I have my ones place, my tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000. So on the abacus, we can actually do adding, subtraction, multiplication, division. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to count and read the abacus. We're going to read the abacus. So notice we only have 4 beads, but to do 5, it will be the top bead or the blue bead, right? But if I was on the this one right here, it would be all the top beads. So it works exactly the same. They're just different colors. Yeah, the reason why I do the colorful one, because it's easier to tell the kids move the green bead or move the yellow bead, because all my classes are through Zoom, and it's difficult to tell the kids, okay, move the brown bead. They're all brown. I don't know what you're doing. So that, I mean, when I start them off, I would start them off here because I'm going through Zoom to do it. All right. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. So yeah, that was how young have I seen a child use it. So I had my child use it when he was 6, 7 months, when he was able to sit upright and he was just playing with the beads. You could do that too. There's this one I was watching. I think it was a YouTube or an Instagram where this kid would just have this would have this guitar, and all he did, like, he started with the guitar, like they just showed him the guitar like every day for when he was like a little baby, and then he would just strum the guitar strings, and he just keeps strumming it, and as he gets older he starts to play with it and all this and that, and it would be the same thing. How do I use it? Oh, so to use this abacus, it's a counting tool. This counting tool, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to read it first. To read it, this is 5. Now, how do I know this is 5? Well, when I count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like how we go on a die, this is 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the same thing on the abacus. That's 4. Now, notice we don't have any beads on the bottom. So how do we get 5? To get 5 is the top bead. This top bead always has a value of 5. Okay, no matter what, it always has a value of 5. So then we have 5, and then what's after 5? We have 5. We have 5. Then afterwards we have 6. How do I know that this is 6? Well, these are the two beads touching the horizontal bar. This is the beam that gets counted. So if you notice, none of these beads, none of these columns are touching. These are all zeros. The only one that I'm worried about, the only one that I'm looking at is this one here. Now remember, the lower beads has a value of 1, and the upper bead, this top bead, has a value of 5. So when I count it, this will be 7. And if you notice, you have 5 plus 2. And it's interesting because the kids will start seeing and decompose that this is 7. So when you look at it, it's actually 5 plus 2. But when we count it, it's 5, 6, 7. And so what Abacus does, it takes the numbers and it breaks it down into smaller pieces. Smaller, manageable pieces. So what's after 7? Well, we can do 8, right? So after 8, we have 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, I'm going to look at my little paper, right? We have 5, we have 6, we have 7, we have 8, oh, we have 8, we have 9. So what does 10 look like? Well, 10, right, just as we write it, if anybody remembers our tens and our tens placement, the ones will be in our tens place, the 0 will be in our ones place. The way we write it is exactly the way we do it on the abacus. So when we read it on the abacus, I have my ones on the tens place and 0 on the ones place. 1 on the tens place, 0 on the ones place. Wow, that was, yeah, I have to really think about that one when I'm talking. Okay, so we have our tens and our ones. So this is actually 10 now. So we have, and it all cleared out, this is 10. How do I know? Because this dot that I have right here, I don't know if you could see it. This dot is what I deemed as my ones place. Because I deemed it as my ones place, this will be my ones and then this will be my tens. Anybody have a question? I have a question. Let's do a question. I have a question. So, let me see if I can find one. So, we now know that this is the ones, the tens, the hundreds. What number is this? Put it in the chat. What number do you think that is? So, the dot is the starting point. That's correct, Night Star. When we look at it, and I'm going to say that this is my ones, so let me know what the number is. So if we look, oh, hi, Ashley, thank you. Yes, perfect. So if you look, I can actually choose this dot if I choose. So the dots are meant for labeling where your ones is. Now, why is there so many dots? Well, if you notice, just like how we write with commas. Oh, good, Dandelion and Evelyn and Ashley. Yes, great. Thank you. It is 742. Now, that's if I'm using this as my dot, right? If I'm using this one. Now, if I use this one, yes, wolf fox bangs. That's almost like the spirit animal, and we're reading the spirit animal. Okay, sorry, let me focus. So if oh no. So I do 7, 4, and 2. So let's do that. So if this is my ones, this is absolutely correct. Now, however, if I chose this to be my ones, what would be my answer? If this was my ones, what would it be the answer now? Now, I don't know if we remember our decimals. It took me a while to remember my decimals. So if I had my decimals, this is my 0, this is my 1, what number do you think the rest would be? Hey, Chef. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Woo! 33 people, 32 people. I'm thinking, yes, exactly, Night Star. So it all depends on where we are on our dots. So with the dots, it depends, and it's all about perspective. Yes, Evelyn. Yes, Dandelion. Okay, so it'd be 0.742. Now here's the other thing. There was one question like, why do we have so many dots? There's so many dots. I have like polka dots. Well, so what does that mean? Why do we have so many dots? If I choose to start here in the middle, I'm using this one. The reason why is because I have a lot more dots. If I choose to start here, notice that my next set of dots is the thousands. So when we write, let's say I do 2,000,000, 6,000,000, 4, like 0, 5, comma, 3, 7, 5, 7, right? Notice there's commas. These commas help us separate. They do group separation. It's the American short scale, I think they call it. So just like how we do this in the United States, we do the commas. The dots help us know what we're doing. So if you look, this is the ones. This is the millions. Now how do I know? Well, let's go this way. We do 700, and I'm sorry, 7, right? 5, 3. Notice I have my 5 here. This is the 5,000. So this dot is at the 1,000, just like here, it's separating the commas, right? And then I have 4, 0, 6. 6 is at the million. So this dot tells me that I have 6 million, and I don't need to necessarily count how many columns I have. I can just see my dots. So this would be 6 million, this is 1,000, and this is my ones. I am genuinely having so much fun learning this. You're very good at teaching. Thank you so much. Woo! Interesting. I've only seen these in movies. Oh, yes. Abacus is quite everywhere. Tell me what movie you've seen it in. Let me ask you that question. Let me see if I can find my little slideshow. Let me know what movie you've seen an abacus. And it would be fantastic to know. The Chosen? Oh, I'm going to look that up now. What else? Let me see if I can find it. Abacus is everywhere. Okay. Oh, I don't have it. Where did I put it? I'm trying to find it right now. There's a little PowerPoint presentation that I had. This one? Abacus is everywhere. Oh, yeah, this is it. Okay, let me see if I can find my... There it is. Okay. So, what else? The Chosen. I wish I got here early. I'd like to know from the start. Oh, Chef, don't worry. We will start. We will always start over again because there's so many people. Okay, so yes! Penguins of Madagascar. Yes, and I'll show you. Chinatown. I've not seen that one. And the movies depicted in the Roman Empire. Yes. Okay, so let me see if I can show you what I have. So abacus is really everywhere. This is one of the things that was kind of cool. And if you could see, here's my little, maybe I moved my presentation. So, anybody seen Wonka? Can you show us how to add? Yes, I will show you how to add. I'll show you how to subtract. I'll show you how to multiply and divide. So, yeah, there was Wonka. One of the characters' name was Abacus Crunch. Anybody found that one out? He actually has an abacus right here. I thought that was cool. And then the Penguins of Madagascar, that was the next one I had. It was when Wazowski actually took the abacus out of his stomach. And that was that one. And then it was kind of interesting. My kid was playing this one game called Empires and Puzzles, and one of the characters has a pulverizing abacus. And I'm like, that's brilliant. A pulverizing abacus. Who would have thought? And then there was another one where I saw where a friend of mine was reading this one book called Hannah, and she's a blind child that was homeschooled. And in the story, the parents wanted her to teach her how to add and subtract and how to add and count on the abacus. So what they did is they built the tool. They built an abacus out of pine cones and needles, and then they were just talking about how when you add the 1 and you add the 2. So that was it. Oh, and then the last game that I played was called Match Factory, and in Match Factory, I have a picture of an abacus. I don't know if you guys can see it. And I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so back to this. So, okay, so we're understanding. Okay, let me do one more time. So what we're going to do is we're going to count. When we count, this is my abacus, and I'm going to start in the center. I'm going to, not center, I'm going to start here in the dot. This dot tells me that this is going to be where the ones is. So with the ones, I'm going to count, When I count, let me rearrange this. I'm going to count 1. How do I know that this is counted? The reason why I know it's counted because it's the horizontal bar. With the horizontal bar, this is how I know it's being counted. So if you notice these columns, right, these place values that are here, they're all 0. None of the beads are touching. So just like when we look at it, we know that this is 2. Easy to use, simple to use, easy to understand, right? 2, this is 3, and then this is 4. Now, notice there's not enough beads for a 5. Well, what happens when there's a 5? Well, 5, we just throw the whole thing out. It doesn't matter anymore. We're done. No, let me take that back. Now, the 5 will always be the top bead. This top bead is a value of 5, no matter what, wherever you are. So depending on it doesn't even matter what kind of abacus this is, right? All the abacus will have a value of 5. So the top bead is 5. So if I line up my columns so they're the same, this is 5 and this is 5. The top bead is always 5. Even on a Chinese abacus. Even on a Chinese abacus, the top bead has a value of 5. The one of these beads is a value of 5. Put them together, now it's 10. Okay, so that is the abacus. And so when we count, we do 5, right? We do 5, and then we do 6. How do I know that this is 6? I know this is 6 because I have the value of 5, and then I plus the 1. When I have the value of 5 and I plus the 1, the kids are able to see that they can decompose. They don't know the word decompose, but they can see that it's 5 and 1. When it's 5 and 1, it's 6, right? So when you do 5 and 2, it's 7. And then they know if I do 5 and 3, it's 8. So you can start seeing how they start bringing things together, right? So one of my students, at the time she was 4, she noticed that if I take away the 5, that's 3. If I add the 5, and she's like, oh, that's cool. Now that's 8. So it's interesting to see when you add and subtract. And so that was the one thing is when you add on the abacus, we show how to subtract. So it's kind of a balance. It's a yin and a yang. When you add, you need to know how to subtract. We don't teach to subtract later on down in the waist side. No, it's not. It's actually quite once right after the other. So when we add, we count forward, right? This is 8. Now this is 9. Now before I continue on, we got to go what 10 is, right? This is where we do our place values. I had a little brain fart. Place values. Now, just as we write 1 and 0, we can do that on the abacus. We can do 1 and 0. Why is this 0? Why is this 0? Because remember, my dot signifies that this is my ones place, and this is my tens place. So I have my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands. So, and then I mentioned here, the reason why we have a dot here is to help us remember that this is the thousands, right? Just as we write our millions, we do the same thing with the abacus. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so we are ready. I guess we're ready to add. Okay, so when we're ready to add, it's simple to use, easy to understand. What we're going to do first is we're going to understand. Oh, yeah. Okay. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to understand. So this is the book that starts with the preschool, right? The reason why is because I wanted the kids to really understand the numbers, and it only goes to the numbers from 0 to 9. Thank you so much for the likes. Oh, thank you so much for the heart. Okay. Thank you so much for the rose. Thank you so much for the rose. Is it always complainer? Always complaining? Is that you? It is you. All right. So the question is, and if you move over 1, it would be the hundreds. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So if I did this, right? This is 5. This is 50. This is 500. And this is 5,000. You're absolutely right. Exactly. Exactly. So if you move it 1 over. And so that's the one thing is like making sure that we understand that, what each of these columns is a place value. And it's really quite interesting. Like it's such a simple it's really quite simple, but it has a lot to it, and we're just going to start going through. So this one's like doing like bigger than less than. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to add. we're gonna learn how to add 1. Okay, that would be easy, right? Not a problem. Now, but there's a little bit of things that's going on with it. Now, I want to add the 1. I don't want to know what the answer is. So what I noticed in some of the way we teach children, in some of the videos I've been researching and stuff, what I notice is that we focus in on the result and we don't focus on the process. And I think that's where we kind of falter a little bit. Why? Because what we want to do is we want to, in Abacus, we want to know what are we going to do with the number of what we're trying to do. We're trying to add it. So here, okay, so what I was trying to say is when I was doing research to try to figure out like how other people like teach, just adding and subtracting. The first question they had was 5 plus 3. I was like, oh, okay, 5 plus 3, it's 8. And they're like, yeah, I'm a preschool teacher, so the basics are our life. Yes, yes. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to just talk about the basics of Abacus. But yes, welcome, Nightstar. I'm so happy. Hopefully you can introduce this to your students. Okay, so one of the things was like, oh yeah, 5 plus 8, 5 plus 3 is 8. Woo! 5 plus 8 is 8. Yay! Okay, that's a little bit too much of just understanding the result, but that's fine. So the next question, so let me do that on the Abacus. Let me show you what it looks like on the Abacus. So this is what we do when we add. We have our 5, and then we have our 3. Notice, if I have enough beads to add the 3, all I got to do is add the 3. And this is what we call simple abacus. Why? Because that means there's no formulas involved. When we go further in, I'll explain that there is formulas that we have to memorize. That is the fundamental understanding the formulas that we have in abacus. So the next question that they had in the video was 7 plus 1. And again, yeah, 7 plus 1, it's 8. And they're like, yeah, it's 8, 8. Okay, so 5 plus 3 is 8, and 7 plus 1 is 8, and this is all about 8. And it's like, okay, that's fine. So on the abacus, what does it look like? It's the same answer, but it's also different because we're using different beads, right? We have the 7, and then we plus the 1. Now we have 8. So it's easy, but now I feel like we're confusing the children when they're young because this doesn't make sense, right? These have no relationship. The only thing they have a relationship is the answer. So in Abacus, we actually think about what we're trying to add. So the next question that they had was 4 plus 4. And in school, we're teaching the children to memorize that 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay, you can learn the doubles, not a problem, but Abacus doesn't learn doubles. Abacus doesn't memorize doubles. Abacus memorizes formulas. Let me continue. So here we know that this is 8, but in Abacus, what we're doing is we're going to focus on this 4. This 4 is what we're going to focus in on. It's the process. So in school, we're teaching children how to make a 5. And one of the things to make a 5, they put it in a 5 frame. And in the 5 frame, if you color in 4 boxes, what is left? What is the number sentence? I feel so smart when I say that, but I just learned that just earlier today because this other person was like, it's called number sentence. Okay, so the number sentence we're going to talk about is 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. This is the number sentence that we're going to be learning. Now, this is what they teach in school. Not a problem. This is fantastic. This is a concept that we should know, right? The other number sentence, and this is the thing that I also learned too, is the sentence sibling. Or she called it sentence sisters. These are all very new terminologies for me. I just called them formulas. So the other one was 1 plus 4 is equal to 5. Okay, now in school, this is all they learn. This is all they do. Now, if you stay with me, I will show you how do we do it on the abacus. What we're going to do is I'm going to make some I'm going to use some really big words, but this all has to do with the abacus is the gateway to complex math. Abacus is the gateway to complex math, but simple to use, easy to understand. Let me show you. I love that term. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this number and we're going to isolate it. We're going to make it by itself because right now it's inside a sentence. So let's make it by itself. To make it by itself, we're going to take this 1 and we're going to move it to the other side. What did she say? It was like jump the fence, jump the equation fence, jump the equal fence. And I was like, huh, that's really interesting. But again, I'm not teaching children this. I'm teaching adults. So I'm showing you why we're doing this. Thank you so much for sharing the live. Okay, so why are we doing this? The reason why is because we want to isolate the variable, and we're going to change it, and I'm going to rearrange it to plus the 4 is equal to plus the 5 minus 1. Now, why do I say plus 4 plus 5 minus 1? Why? Because I want to remind us what we're trying to do. So if you notice, I do my 4. Now I have the other 4. I need to add the 4. I don't have a 4. So how can I add a 4? So that's the big question in Abacus, is how to add the 4. How to add the 4. This is the 4. Now we isolated the variable. This is my variable, right? And we're going to substitute this equation into here. So what we're going to do is we're going to plus the 5 and take away the 1. And that's it. Now we have 8. So notice, because we understand how to do the process, we can replicate it. So what does that mean? Well, what does that mean? Well. Okay. So in here, this is my other book, we talk about adding the 4. The reason why, and this is the reason why we're adding, the 1 is to show we're only adding the 1 beat and go through the different scenarios. But we're still on the path of understanding how to do the 4. So here is a question. Plus 3, 3 plus 4. We can do this. How do we do this? Oh my God, I don't like my camera sometimes. Okay, that's better. Is that better? That's better. Okay, so notice it's 3 plus 4. Well, 3 plus 4, you could, right? You could do doubles minus 1. Doubles minus 1. You could do that, right? Or you could do doubles, like the 3s, and then plus 1. You could. That's fine. But that's as far as it goes. In Abacus, because we know that this 4 is the same thing as the 4 that we just learned, we just substitute the 5 into the 4. So when I look on the Abacus, I have my 3, and now I need to add the 4. Is there enough beats to add the 4? No. How can I add the 4? Well, I can plus the 5 and take away the 1. I don't know if you can see that. Let me do that again. Plus the 5, take away the 1. Just like that. Now, if you do it enough times, you'll see that there's a pattern. If you do it enough times, you'll see that there's a pattern. And so that's the other thing. In school, we always teach about patterns, but then we never really show them the patterns. But in Abacus, it's all about patterns. So when you start recognizing the patterns, we know that this is what we're going to do. When we want to add the 4, we add the 5, take away the 1. This is a fundamental formula that we all need to learn. So let's take it one step further. Okay, let's take it one step further. We have 2. Can I add a 4? No, I can't add the 4. How can I add a 4? Well, notice you could do your doubles. 4 plus 4 minus 2, or you do 2 plus 2 plus 2, right? You could figure out some sort of math strategy about that. In Abacus, remember, we have a 4. How do we do a 4? Well, in this little scenario, I added where, because I'm trying to think that the kids are young, right? And they may not understand that this is 5. So what I say is, there are 5 cats in the tree. Because there's 5 cats in the tree, I grab 4 cats, and I bring down the 5. And 1 cat runs away. So now I'm left with 6. Did that make sense? So I was trying to make it where it's a little bit like catchy, or there's a little bit of like story, because we all like stories, right? We all understand stories. We all remember stories. So that was the thing that I did. So here, let's say I did 1. I'm going to do 1. So here I did 1. And then my question is I want to add 4. Is there enough to add the 4? No. So what I do is I have to go to the cats in the tree. And every cat, there's 5 cats in the tree. I go to the top bead and I add it, right? I go to the 5 and I grab 4 cats. But 1 cat runs away. So then I have to take away the 1 bead. Just like that. Yeah, Alex. Oh, yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I'm telling you. Simple to use, easy to understand. I'm telling you, simple to use, easy to understand. It's association. Oh, yeah. It's association recognition. Yeah. So with the five frame, with the making of the five, I use my fingers a lot. I've learned a lot. I love my whole life struggling with math. This made me so. Oh yeah, I'm telling you, simple to use, easy to understand. And it was crazy, like going down this path, like how do I make it relate to, how do I make it to mainstream math? And that was the one thing I wanted to do. Because if you do, when you do the research, and even I was like guilty of it when I first started, we were taught, okay, plus the 5 minus the 1. That was all we had to do. Plus the 5 minus 1. That's all we did. But nobody told me like why. And I started going down this path like, okay, we learned this in Abacus, and I've been teaching Abacus for like 20 plus years. But now, because I wanted to actually make it more mainstream, like it's the greatest thing next to sliced bread, and I'm trying to modernize Abacus because we have all of these math strategies, we have all of these manipulatives that we're using, but we never go back to understanding how to use the Abacus, right? And it's really quite interesting. So I don't know if you know, but we have these blocks, and the blocks are the same concept, kind of the same concept, but it shows you the quantity. So this is a 10, right? And then these are some ones, and then you put them all together, and you can like do stuff with it, which is great. There's no problem in it, but it's interesting that we resort to other manipulatives, but we don't go back to the abacus. Oh, thank you so much for the hearts and the likes and the roses. But yeah, that's what the really like it really it's interesting because I mean nobody's taught, like there's a lot of people that I say, oh, I teach the abacus, and they're like, what's an abacus? And some people, when I type in the word, they're like, I don't know how to say that name, so I'm just going to leave it. So I understand that it's not as well known as it should be, but it's interesting. Okay, so I've never understood 5 frames. Yes. So we were teaching the 5 frames. Oh, sorry, the 10 frames, and that's the next one. So let me continue my thought. So we're back to here. I knew exactly this is going to make more sense. I just couldn't figure out myself. Oh yeah, yeah. It was a long thing to like try to figure out like how to connect everything. When my kids were going through it and they learned abacus, and it was interesting because they started learning algebra. They were like, I know algebra, but I don't know why I know algebra. Because a lot of abacus is relatable to algebra. We isolate the variable, we substitute the variable, we do distributive property. We do a lot of things in algebra that we do in abacus. And I was trying to write down like all the names and all of the vocabulary. But see, this vocabulary that I'm writing out here, we actually don't use that in abacus. It's just plus the 10 minus the 1. That's all we say. But in abacus, we talk about like big friends, small friends, plus 10s, plus 5s. These are all specific vocabulary that we use in abacus that nobody else in the world, if you didn't know abacus, you wouldn't know. But if I was talking to an abacus teacher, we would all know how to do it, right? Because we say the same language. The language is the same. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to break out of it and go more mainstream. So, okay. I don't get it. That's okay. You can reset your gift goal. I don't know how to reset my gift goal. This is all so new to me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just talking about abacus. I don't know. Okay, gift gallery? No, not gift gallery. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I'm trying to reset my gift gallery. Allow. I've. I. This is so like. This is so like. I'm so nervous right now because I don't know how to reset it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to reset the gift gallery because I want to go back to like talking about abacus. Live goal. No. Okay. So set up new. Okay. I think I got it. Manage. I don't know. Am I doing that right? Is that right? Oh, maybe that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anna. Oh no, Amma. Thank you so much, Amma. Okay. So I think I resetted my gift goal. Thank you so much for all the gifts. Thank you so much. Okay. Back to this. Oh, so in abacus we don't talk about substitution. We just say do it. And then another thing is in algebra there's a two-step, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. It's a two-step equation. So in abacus we actually show a two-step equation, and it's part of the system. and it's just part of the system. Whereas in algebra, it's you're being taught that. So in Abacus, we actually go through a lot of these things, a lot of the concepts, and it's just really quite interesting. What else? Power. The power of gestures. So I was trying to make notes of all these things. Okay, the reason why, okay, some of these questions are like super easy and everybody, we could do it, right? Because we're adults. It's okay. Let's do 1 plus 1, right? Okay, 1 plus 1, that's 2. No, 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 no. Do it. Why? Because it's the power of gesture, right? What does that mean? Well, if I do 1 plus 1, that's 2. That's fine, right? That's fine. We do the power of gesture. What does that mean? Well, let me ask you, when you go running, do you move your arms? Why? It has nothing to do with running, right? It's your legs that are running. But what we do is we use our arms, and it's the power of gesture. That's a good problem to have, though. Oh, thank you, Nightstar. But yeah, that was the thing. Like, why do we do it? I mean, the numbers are super simple. The numbers are super simple, right? But the idea is to see how the beads move, because we want to be able to ingrain that and how to visualize it. The more we see it, the more we can say, oh, I know how the beads move. So when we go through it, we do this. This is 2. I'm hoping you guys can see that. This is 2. So I have my 2 and I want to add the 1. So I add the 1. These books, the ones that I've created, they all focus on the second add-in. They always focus on the add-in, not the result. So here is a second add-in. There's actually 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 add-ins, but we focus on the actual number that it helps. Muscle memory, exactly, muscle memory. So you notice that some of the kids are doing the thing, right? That's what they're doing, is they're doing the muscle memory. Some of them are a little bit more theatrical, and some of them are just kind of like this. It actually, each their own, but that was the idea. The idea is to be able to do the muscle memory, and it's exactly what it is. But it's what is it? It's the power of gesture. I am trying to I'm trying to look at all my terms. Like, I started writing down all the things that we do, but we don't label it. Like, we don't talk about it as a 10 frame. We don't talk about it as making a 5 and making a 10. We just call it a +10 and a +5. So continuing on with the book, what I did here is I separated the numbers into what we're adding. The reason why is because I don't want the kids to be hung up that this is 1. I want the idea that the one bead is they're moving. They're moving one bead. It's not just the top bead, it's the one bead that's being moved. So we are looking at it at that in that eye. And then it's all the different scenarios. So if I add the 5, I want to add the 1. If I had if I had 8, I want to add the 1 bead. So half number is done in decimal? It can be. It can be. So when we talk about it, just like how this is 9, right? When we go through, like, say, money, we do money, right? Money is a decimal. So we could do 25, and that would be over here, right? We work with decimals already, but we just don't label it. So I think you would add as decimals. Correct. So, just like as we talk about money, we're going to add 1 cent, right? We don't add the 1 cent here, we add the 1 cent here. So this would be $9.26. So that's the other way to think about it. The reason why is because if you notice with the decimals, they don't fall on an actual column, right? They only fall between the columns. So when we do this question, this number right here, $9.26, just like we do it in money, right? It's easier to relate if you put it in money. So we have, if you notice, this right here is between the two columns. These two columns, this is the ones column, and this is the tenths column. I don't, it's such a pain to say tenths. And I don't even have a lisp. So you say that the 2 1 beads at the bar, if you move the third bead where it wasn't touching each other, it would touch each other. And so, unless you're talking about these ones, these are not touching each other. This would be the columns. So we have the ones, the tenths, and then the hundredths. Is that what we're talking about? When you say 2 1 beads. So when I say 2 1 beads, 1 2, like that. So if I think the question would be if I had one like this and I want to add another one, I'd be adding the one bead like this and I'd be touching it. No, no. If you move the third bead where it wasn't touching the other. No, they all need to touch. So they'd be like that, right? I've always thought the same thing. Beads, does it have a value? Beads, does it have value? So put 2 beads on the bar. 2 beads on the bar. Yes, ma'am. Yes, person. I don't even know if you're a ma'am or a person. Yes, person. I don't want to be. I don't want to. I'm just here to be funny. So I put 2 beads, 2 1 beads. So if I do 2 1 beads like this would be 11. I'm just waiting. Hi, Hal. Welcome. Oh, 29 people. This is the most. Did that make sense? Night Star. I'm assuming how to use the abacus. Um, I could be. Stop. Okay, so I sit 11. Yes, ma'am. No, 3 has the space between the 2 and the 4. This is so weird. Okay, no. 3 has a space between 2 and 4. You've had 70 people when I came in. Oh, I did? That's fantastic. No. 3 has a space between 2 and 4. So if I have 3, right? And then I have 4. So then I have 2. I'm not understanding, Night Star. I'm sorry. I'm not smart. I don't know what we're talking about here. Michelle. So what we're doing is we're going to counting. How is it 11? This is the ones because this is my ones place. How do I know? I have my ones place because I have. Oh, hey, Bapple. Ones place because I have a dot here. So when I count, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, just like how we do on the dot. Nightstar, I'm still trying to figure out what you're trying to say. I'm thinking really hard. So here, hello, Bapple. So we have 4, just like on a die, we have 4. So we have 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So where do we have 4? Where do we have 5? Well, notice we have the top bead. The top bead will always be 5 because the top bead has 5. We can now start counting 6, 7, 8, 9. And then because we have 9, and just as we write 9, just as we write 10, when we write 10, remember it's a 1 and a 0. If I can find my pepper. Okay, 1 and 0. So how do I know? It's my 0 and it's a 1 over here. So this is what we call 10. I think I understand, Nightstar. Yes, please let me know more. Why is the row and not the first one? Because we want to be able to utilize our dot. Our dot is our ones place. So just like with money, we have the one. So let's say we have $10.25, right? So that's why we would start here, because just in case we want to teach the children money, you can use the other 2 beads as a decimal. That's the reason why. Please, if you can. Yes, please, if you can. I'm not quite understanding, Alex. If you can let me know what Night Star is talking about. It's also a little difficult because, presenting. So, do they mean instead of moving a bead all the way up, you halfway, if it's no longer touching, it's not counted. So it was probably just me not being fluid. Yeah, no. Okay, so if it's like this and it's like that, then it's not touching, then it doesn't make sense. So it has to go all the way to the top. It has to come all the way to the bottom. Or yeah, if that did that. Okay, thank you, Alex. Thank you. So moving it halfway between like that. If it's like that, then it's just messy. And then you get confusion. So that's why it's got to go all the way to the top or all the way to the bottom. Okay, I don't know if that means decimal. No, no, no. This is not decimal. This being like this is not decimal. This on this side is decimal. So these 2 columns are the decimal. It wasn't you. I was just asking if it had a value at all. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Yeah. No. The reason why I made Epiphany because there was another person that was asking me if you could break a 5 and you can't break this 5. And it was interesting. And that's why I like talking to adults because they have this way of thinking things and it was just oh, That makes sense. Yeah, no, there's not a way to break it, and there's not a way to break a 5. And that was an interesting thought. And I was like, huh, I didn't think of it that way. But no, the decimal happens between the columns. So it's just like, yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. But yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate you guys talking and explaining to me because I was really quite baffled with the question. But yeah, okay. Yeah, so no, it's either one or the other. There's no in between. And the decimal is the decimal. So thank you. Yes, thank you guys. Thank you so much for the comments and the explanation. Okay, so we're gonna continue on. Oh, so we're gonna continue on with adding. With adding here, with the way I broke it up is I have it with the plus ones. The plus one is first is the add-in. So what we're doing is we're focusing on the number that's adding to the number. Here I have 7, right? Because I have 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to put 7 on the abacus. And what I did here is I add the 1. And so the idea is to just show, excuse me, how to add this one bead. Excuse me. Allergies. Can you use it for fractions? Or do you have to change them to decimals? Yes. So can you use it for fractions, or do you have to change them into decimals? You got to change it to decimals first because, yeah, I was thinking about that too. Somebody asked me about it, and I was like, no, you has to be changed because you don't really do decimals and fractions. You don't combine decimals and fractions, anyways. Apple, my answer would be, it helps thinking. Yeah. So what are the pros? What is the pros of using this? It's simple to use. Simple to use, easy to understand. Okay, so now let me take it one step further. It helps with the it helps with mental math if you go to that level. I don't go to that level. Like I can kind of visualize it, but I do a lot more teaching than try to make it into like my brain. You can do competition abacus. So the interesting thing is there is a such thing as abacus competitions. So with abacus competitions, some of the children uses 23 columns on the abacus, and this is one of them used. Have you ever tried learning the hand one? No, I was looking at it. I briefly, I briefly looked at it, but it never stuck to me. Yeah, I've watched it, but it never really stuck with me. Like they started talking about like these segments of the fingers are another number and another digit, and I'm like, yeah, okay. It is possible, and I see it like as part of my feed because I do a lot of research on like abacus and math and preschool math, and I'm seeing it in my feed. So they also do like it's called finger abacus, but I haven't really went down that path. So, but what I was trying to do is I was just trying to modernize math in general. Because even if they did finger abacus with this, you could do. I'm assuming you could do finger abacus with my questions, but with the questions that are out there, they look like this. So with my workbooks and stuff, they're very much abacus driven. And the questions are very abacus specific because the way we do things is we're very specific with the questions that we need to do because we don't learn our doubles, and what we do is we learn our specific frameworks. So the way I have it here is this green, this blue shaded in here. These are what we call simple. And why is it simple? Because we don't need to use formulas. But when we get to here, this is when we start to making a 5, and that's the making of a 5 formula. Now this here is the yellow. The yellow over here is making of a 10. So this is another set of formula, and then right here is my 2-step equation. Oh, hey, thank you. Thank you for the little crown. Thank you so much. And it's the same thing with subtraction. So when we get subtraction, we do the same. It's the same framework. We know if we know how to add it, we know how to subtract it. So one of the question was, oh, good night, Bapple. So what kind of preschool do you work in to teach this? We don't have anything like this. I don't teach a preschool. Actually, I teach my own. I have a learning center in Monterey Park, and my dad retired, so my brother took over the learning center, the Abacus Learning Center, and I decided to try to put this online. So I have an online class. I have a few students, and I have an online pre-recorded. So I go through all of the videos. I have videos on all of these worksheets that I've created, and and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build my, I'm trying to build a business. And so what I'm doing is I'm just also trying to explain to other people what it's like to learn Abacus, because not everybody understands it. And so a lot of the parents would be like, "Well, I want my kid to know what 5 + 8 is and 8 + 5." I was like, "Yeah, but there's a framework in Abacus. There's a framework." Oh, so this is what I was trying to show you. So here's my activities, and I have it where I have like answer the question, find the answer. And so these are like some of the activities are using fine motor skills like cutting and pasting and tracing. And then this one is color by number. And again, I just have it where we add the 4. Now, I'm a little sad because when my kids were going through it, they were doing something like this. This is an Abacus book. This is an old Abacus, not even old. This is like this is what the kids are learning now. If you ever see the videos that you see the kids are doing Abacus, it all looks like this, which is great, which is fine. I'm not knocking it, but it gets a little monotonous. It gets a little mind numbing if you had to do 60 of those. And they're great at it. They're like, super cool. But I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, modernize it to what American or mainstream math is doing, and they're more interactive. They're more trying to think, and that's why we were talking about Common Core. And so my kids, they all gone through Common Core, but they never had a problem because they learned it through Abacus. One of the benefits of this is understanding that this provides Common Core. Because we talk about making a 5, making a 10, but that's as far as it goes in Common Core. Whereas in Abacus, we take it one step further and we solidify and enhance the idea of making a 5 and making a 10. So that would be the other pros. The other pros is doing it mental math. Do I do it? I don't do mental math. I have a calculator. I'm going to be lazy, and I'm going to let you know that I don't do mental math. I use my calculator. Why? Because it's there, right? But what I'm trying to do is the kids. We can't tell the kids use a calculator. That was one of the things. Like, one of the parents are like, "Why did they just use a calculator?" It's like, you can't tell a 4-year-old to use a calculator and have them understand what it is to add 2 + 2, right? That's kind of not logical. So for an abacus, it's good to see that you add 2 and you have 2 quantities. You could do the same thing with these blocks, right? If I have 2 here and I want to add 2 here, you could do that. That's not a problem. We don't just say, "Here, let me whip out a calculator for a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old." That doesn't make sense to me. It's just like you want the child to like type their name on the computer, but they don't know how to write. It's kind of the same idea. She goes live. Yes, I do. I do go live several times a day, and I try. I try to go live a few times a day. If you want to know when I go live, just go ahead and follow. Thank you, Amma. Yes, thank you so much for the help. So that's a little bit about adding. We can do subtraction. So as I said before, when we add, we also do subtraction. So right away, this is lesson 9. Right away in lesson 10, we showed the subtraction. And that was the one thing, like, I heard that the kids are having problems. The reason why I hear these things, because my kids have not experienced it. Because my kids, when I started them using the abacus when they were like 4. But I was also a young mom, and I had a full-time job. Like, I didn't teach abacus as a full-time, but I have been teaching abacus for 20 plus years. So, I'm sorry if I've missed any of the comments, except the kids toss those little blocks. Yeah, right? You can toss the abacus around. You can make it into like a little car, or you can even have it as a massager, but at least they all stay together. Yeah, and then you have to clean up those blocks. Oh my God. Have a good night. Oh, have a good night, Night Star. I'm so happy to have met you, and thank you so much for your question. I really do appreciate your patience of with the one question you had, because it was like, it didn't really quite compute. And thank you, Alex, for letting me know and helping me. Have a good night. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hear the passion. I'll try to keep an eye on your future life. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex. Have a good night, and I will see you soon. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I really do. Okay, so what's a con out of it? One of the cons is you do not see the quantity. Okay, so if I say that this is 5, you don't know that this is 5. You won't know that. So the kids has to memorize that. Yes, I understand. Thank you, Alex. So that's the one con. The other con is we only do arithmetic. That's it. Adding, subtraction, multiplication, adding, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. That's the only thing we do on the abacus. We can do decimals and we can do really big numbers, but that's as far as it goes. After that, like algebra stuff and all this stuff, that's like, outside of abacus. Abacus is strictly arithmetic. So, anybody have any more questions? So we can start off. I don't know. I mean, do I need to go back and explain how to read the abacus, or are we okay? We can talk about like the new math, right? So what does that mean? Well, we could do 23. I have 23 plus, I don't know, plus 6. We can do that and we put it all together. And what does that look like, right? Or we could write it out. I don't know. We could do that, or we can continue on with the act. We'll continue on with the adding and subtraction. So again, the idea here with subtracting is making sure that the kids understand that they're taking away, right? So when we have the question, right, we're gonna have 4. This is 4. When we have 4, we take away the 1. We notice we're moving the 1 away from the horizontal bar. When we remove the away from the horizontal bar, oh, let's multiply. Okay, let's multiply. Okay, if we're ready for multiply, we can multiply. Let me finish my thought. So when we take away and we start subtracting, so that was the one thing is we start taking away, we start subtracting, and that's the one thing like I heard that some of the kids are having problems with because they don't see it. They don't see that they're taking it away. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Vern? I don't know if anybody's old enough to know that. You know what I mean, Vern? Anyways, I don't know if he's still alive. I heard about Gene Hackman. I was a little devastated. But then his wife and the dog, and I'm like, how did they just pass away? Okay, never mind. Let me go back. So, subtraction. And one of the parents that came on board, she was saying that subtraction wasn't introduced until the second half of kindergarten. And I'm like, oh, really? But in Abacus, we show it right away because we actually started needing it. Oh, you've been going all day. Way to go. Yeah, hey, Muse. Actually, I took a break. I actually watched a Hitman's Bodyguard, and that was really funny. I've watched that movie so many times. I love Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson, and Selma Hayek. God, she's still beautiful. Anyways, -2. So when we take away the 2, it's the same concept, right? We have 4 and we take away 2. We want to take away the 2 beads at once. Oh, that was another question, was why do we do it 2 at the same time? Well, it's the same thing when we do the beads, right? When we do the blocks. We don't want to do one, we don't want to do, we have 5, right? We don't want to do 1, take away 1, take away 2. What we want to do is we want to take away 2 beads, 2 blocks altogether. And it's the same thing with the abacus. With the abacus, if I had 4, I want to take away 2, we do it twice. We do it at the same time. Yeah, yes, right? Yes, Bird. Yeah. So that was the one question. It was kind of interesting, like, oh, but I think it's because we want to group them together so we know that this is 2. Same thing with the 3, right? When we take away the 3, we add the 3. We want to be able to do like the group of it, because just like we do it with these blocks, we want to just take 3 away. We don't want to just count it 1, 2, 3, right? So that's the one thing. That was interesting. I thought that was an interesting thought too. So that's what I mean. Like it's really interesting to have a discussion and have a conversation with Abacus, because with the 20 years that I've been teaching the children, it's not like they ask me, why do we call it the 5? Why are you here? They're not going to ask why. So they just take it in. They're just always just taking it in, like understanding, like when we do the making of the 5, right? When we make the 5, they just know plus the 4 is equal to plus the 5 minus 1. They just know it. Do they know why? They don't know why. You know what I mean? Because they're like 3, 4, they're like 5, 6, 7. They're not going to ask why. They just know it's gold. So going back to here, making the 5s. There's the next ones, right? What is the next one? The next one is 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. The same thing. When we isolate the variable, we isolate the 3, we're going to rewrite it. We do 3 plus 3 is equal to plus 5 minus 2. The next one is plus 2 is equal to plus 5 minus 3. These are the fundamental, oh, not that. These are the fundamental abacus formulas that the kids need to memorize. Plus 1 is equal to, plus 4 is equal to plus 5 minus 1, and plus 1 is equal to plus 5 minus 4, right? But wait, there's more. There's the subtraction one. Because we do plus the 3 plus the 5, we can do minus the 3 equals minus the 5 plus the 2. Or minus the 2 is equal to minus the 5 plus the 3. Same thing with the 4. Minus the 4 is equal to minus the 5 plus the 1. And then minus the 1 is equal to minus the 5 plus the 4. You know this. You know a lot. Good morning from Sweden. Hey, how's it going, Lady E? Oh yeah, so we're going to do multiplication. So this is one of them, right? Understanding that these are the formula. The next with the formula would be the plus 10s. I need to start writing down all the places that people know me. We have one from Sweden. I had one from Poland. I wonder if no what? No multiplication? Or, oh good, very good. How's the weather in Sweden? Is it chilly? Oh, show the distraction for, oh, okay. I'll show subtraction. Okay. Oh, you know what? I will do the 5. Yeah, I'll do the 5. So, let me remove this. Okay. So again, when we do subtraction, we got to be focused. We got to be careful with the numbers that we're going to do. The reason why is because one of the parents, and it's interesting that, you know, some parents are wanting to push the kids to really know it. But sometimes you got to take a step back and just have them just kind of, you know, marinate a little bit. Because, you know, it's a lot about understanding and internalizing a lot of things. So one of the questions we can do here, let's do 7. So we'll do 7, right? And we're going to take away 3. Let me write that out. So we have 7 minus 3. Okay, when we look at it, there's not enough beats to take away the 3. Notice there's only 2 beats. We don't have enough beats to take away the 3. Remember we did plus 3 plus 2. I'm sorry. Let me rewrite that. We did 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. Now let's start putting in some operators, right? In just so we can see what we're doing with, right? Because we assume that the 3 is a plus. So we're going to assume that it's a plus 3 plus 2 is equal to plus 5. Now we're looking for the minus, right? If we're looking for the minus, let's rewrite this to say minus. So we do minus 3 minus 2 equals to minus 5. It's cool and it's raining. Oh, hey, does it snow in Sweden? Well, it should, right? The Swiss Alps, right? So, ooh, so it's warm. Ooh, that's sad. I wish it was cooler here in California. We have snow in the mountains, but I think that's all melted. Anyways, so back to here. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to isolate the variable. Hi. Hello, Diabla. So we're going to isolate the variable. What we're trying to do is we're trying to take away the 3. When we try to take away the 3, we're going to isolate this variable. So we're going to move this over to the other side of the equation. So when I rewrite it, it'll be minus the 3 is equal to minus the 5 plus the 1. So when I see my 7, I'm going to minus the 5, right? Just like how it says here. Take away the 5, not 1, 2. Sorry, that was my fault. So when I want to minus the 5 and I add the 2. So just as I wrote it, minus the 3 is equal to minus the 5 plus the 2. So I want to minus the 3 and plus the 2, minus the 5 and plus the 2 at the same time, like that. Does that make sense? Dandelion? So we can do it again, right? We can do it again. Let's do 4. So we do 8. Can we do, oh, here's a question. Can we do 8 take away 3? So let's look at it. We do 8, and now the question is, can we take away the 3? Yeah, we can take away the 3. If we can take away the 3, we don't need to use the formula. We don't need to use it. So those are the questions. The big question is can I do it and how can I? So the next question we could do is 6 take away 2. That's easy, right? 6 take away 2. This is 5. Let's take a look at it. 6 take away 2. Okay? And I want to take away the 2. Again, what is minus 2? Well, when I rewrite it and I follow this pattern, minus the 2 is equal to minus the 5 plus the 3. I say it this way so then the kids will hear it. When your children are going through it, when your students are going through it, I highly recommend they say it out loud. Because as they say it out loud, it will start to internalize, right? So what I want to do is I want to minus the 2, and I've been saying this for 20 plus years. Minus the 2 is equal to minus the 5 plus the 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minus the 5 and I'm going to plus the 3. So then my answer is 4. So again, these are making in mainstream math, this is what we call making 5, right? Using the 5 frame. But in Abacus, we take it one step further and we start isolating the variables. Isolating a variable is a algebraic term. Do we really? I mean, do we really call it? We don't. We don't call it. We just say to the kids, memorize this. That's all we tell them, right? So that's the one thing. Like, but you know this solid, you will see a pattern. You see the plus 5, you see the minus 5 here, and you can do it again here. So let's do this one. We do 16. Take away 16, take away 4. Let's do that. 16 take away 4. Again, we know our numbers. We do 1 and we do 6. Now, do we have to, we can, so there's a whole strategy. Like in school, they said, okay, well, 16 is close to 15, and then we want to add the 5 and all this. So there's a lot of number moving and all this stuff. But here in Abacus, you have 16. The question is can I take away the 4? Can I take away the 4? No, I cannot take away the 4. How can I take away the 4? I know if I minus the 4, it will equal to minus the 5 plus the 1. Hands down. So what we're going to do is we're going to minus the 5 and plus the 1. And then my answer is 12. So it's really, that's what I'm saying. It's simple to use, easy to understand. You just need to see the building blocks. But notice, now I know my 5s. I know the adding the 5 and taking away the 5. Now I have a solid understanding. And then the next one would be the plus 10s. The plus 10s is making of the 10. When you make a 10, and then you can, that's another like foundational formula. So like baking, right? What are the fundamental baking items? Eggs, milk, maybe flour, right? Those are like the most common ingredients. Understanding making the 5, understand making a 10, those are the most common fundamental things you need to do when you add and subtract. Adding and subtracting. Multiplication is something different, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just adding and subtracting. You know those two concepts, you know everything how to add and subtract, no matter how big the number is. So we can go into adding the 10s. Are we ready for that? Because we can do that. I mean, yeah, because that would be the next step. So again, as I said before, we do it in steps. So this is the simple. That's what this is. This is the simple. And then what we just learned is we learned the friends, the plus 5s, right? We use the plus 5s. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to start adding the 10. So we can add the 10. And then when we finish adding the 10 and taking away the 10, we can go into multiplication, because by then we know how to add and subtract. And then we can start doing that. Multiplication, you need to know, the kids need to know the multiplication fact, no matter what. They just need to know the multiplication fact. You could do a cumulative addition on the abacus, but then if you were to do that, you need to know how to do the plus the 10s. You need to know how to make a 10. Let's do it. So fun. I gotta get an abacus so I can practice. Okay. Okay. Plus 10s. Plus 10s, plus 10s, plus 10s. Thank you so much. Oop, did I do that? Plus tens, plus tens. Okay, so we have the fives, which was the cats in the tree. The next one I did was the plus tens. And the plus tens is kind of the same thing with the 10 frame. I'm such a dork. No. It takes the internet to come to connect all of us when we're all dorks, because I feel a little bit too. But I find it so interesting, like just the little nuances. But obviously when we're teaching the children, they don't care. They don't care. But like, I was thinking about trying to expand this, and Amma, I'm not sure if you're still here, Amma, but I was actually thinking about the next book, which would be the adult book for Abacus, and I started realizing what sort of questions I'm going to add. It's really quite interesting. I haven't done it yet. I was just still marinating on it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to make a 10. Okay? What does making a 10? That's all it is. It's just how do we make a 10? So one of the things we need to start remembering, in school we teach the children how to make a 10. I'm going to start with 5 plus 5. Is that a double? Yeah, it's a double, but that's a double that you can't get rid of, right? That's something that you need to know. So the next one is 6 plus 4, right, is equal to 10. Notice you have 6 plus 4 or 4 plus 6. You can switch the two, right? It's the same thing with 7 plus 3 is equal to 10. These are pairs. These pairs will always go together, right? And then 8 plus 2 is equal to 10, and then 9 plus 1 is equal to 10. So again, when we start talking about isolating the variable, it depends on what variable we're going to isolate. And again, because we see it this way, we will know which one we're going to do. Does that make sense? And again, I'm talking to us as adults. I don't show this to the kids because they don't really care. So, and it is what it is, right? I mean, there's so many things that we can tell the kids. They're like, yeah, whatever. But so what I'm trying to say is, I mean, the what I'm telling us now, it's very different than what I would say as to children. So one of the questions is how to do it, right? So we need to know that we need to plus the 9 is equal to plus the 9. 9 plus 1 is equal to 10, right? I'm still stuck on this. So when we rearrange it, we're going to isolate the 9. We're going to move it over to the other side. We're going to move the 1 to the other side, so we have to take away. So what does that mean? So our sample question is 9. 9 plus 9. So if I add 9, notice I don't have enough beads to add another 9. The formula that we need to memorize is plus the 9 is equal to plus the 10 minus the 1. I need to plus the 10 minus the 1. What does that mean? Well, the beginning part is understanding when I want to add the 9 here, I need to go to the 10, plus the 10, and then take away the 1. That's the pattern that we're looking at. So anytime we look at the 9, we know that there's a pattern. Plus the 10 minus the 1. Minus the 10 plus the 1. That's the pattern. So if I did a minus, so if we had 18 and we want to take away, it's minus the 10 plus the 1, right? It's the reverse operators. Does that make sense? So we can continue on, right? So here I had it where it says 4. Now the other reason why, so this book is themed as space, with like spaceships and rockets, I think, and asteroids. So what does that mean? Well, we have 4. That's the sample question. We have 4, and I want to add the 9. When I add the 9, I want to plus the 10. I want to go to the asteroid belt and grab 9 asteroids. So I'm going to go to the asteroid belt. And then I have to take away 1. So then my answer is 13. Does that make sense? So I was trying to make it, again, another story. So here, if we did this one, we have 3 and then plus the 9. When we plus the 9, is there enough? No, there's not enough to plus the 9. So what do? We got to go to the asteroid belt, which is over here. So here's my 1s. I got to go to the 10s, which is the asteroid belt over here. And I add the 10, and I need to take away, add the 10 and then take away the 1. So then my answer is 12. And that's it. Yeah. And it's interesting. Why? Because you can make it like 400. So let's say we do 400 and we want to add 900, right? When we say it plus the 10 minus the 1, it doesn't matter where we are. We just know that plus the 10 is the next column over. That's all that means. It's just the next column over. And if you understand that plus adding the 10 is just the next column over, then everything under the sun will be easy. I don't get it, Khalid. Oh, okay. So, before I continue, did that make sense, Dandelion? So when I do a 10, it will always be the next column over. And then I add the 10 and I take away the 1. So that would be the making of a 10. So, Khalid, to to first understand what we're doing, we need to understand how to read the abacus. So this is an abacus and this is a counting tool. Can I come up for a second? Yeah. Oh, I see. You wanted to come up, like come up. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can figure that one out. Yes. Hi. Let me see if I have volume. Oh, I do. Hi.
Do you see me? There I am.
Hi.
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 This is fascinating.
Oh, good. I'm so happy.
Okay, I hope I'm not bugging everybody else. I'm just going to ask you one thing
Sure.
and it's about the pictures.
These ones?
So, because you said, yeah, okay, so 4 plus 9 is the under the word question, you have 4 plus 9. And then the formula is add the 10, take away the 1.
Yeah.
So So you're gonna hate this. You're gonna hate this, but I'm like from the brain of somebody who learned it the other way.
Yeah.
If you show that picture, the plus the 10 picture that you have there with the asteroid, right?
Yeah.
And you just cross out 1. Like if you tell the kids you have 4 and now you get 10 asteroids and you take away 1, right?
Yeah.
Isn't doesn't that mean the same thing?
Yeah. And no, because we're adding the 9. The reason why we have the reason why we have the asteroid belt is to show that we're plussing a 10.
Right? And then you crossed out 1,
Yeah. So the idea was to
and so that's 9.
yeah. So what it is, yeah. So the kids color in 9, so they know that they're using 9, and they cross out 1. So one asteroid flies away. So when we do that, we're taking away 1 here, where the 4 is. Yes.
Right.
So
So
we
then
add the
why
10.
is the plus 9 at the end of the box?
Ha!
What's that
That's the
for?
formula. That's like this. The
Oh.
formula is
So it looked like plus 9 plus 9. Like it looked
yeah.
like the plus 9 asteroids.
Okay, got it. Yeah. See, this is
So yeah,
why
okay, but
it's
yeah.
yes. That makes a lot of sense. And thank you. I do appreciate that because that's the one thing. Like I see it one way and I'm like this makes sense, but then when I try to show it, I want to be able to make sure. So I should put either a box around it so they know it's a formula or if I should move it over more. So it's more of a typography.
Yeah. Some way that it's separated because it looks like you're
Yes,
the book
adding it
makes it
together.
look like you're doing more extra things, which makes it a little bit more confusing.
Okay. Nope, that makes sense. That
But
makes a
I
lot of
got it
sense.
because yeah. Okay,
Nope.
that's all I wanted to say. I love this. I'm sorry, everybody, if I'm being weird, but I'm gonna just get off now. I'm embarrassed.
Oh, don't be embarrassed. It took me a while to get to this point. So
Uh,
I
it's
completely
so
understand.
fascinating. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
good. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that it made sense. And I'm very happy that it's like easy to use, simple to understand. Easy to understand, simple to use. See, somebody else says it was very helpful too. Your question was very helpful, and I'm telling you,
Good.
there's no dumb questions because the way I see it is different the way you see it. Because don't forget, I'm the creating, and then if I'm trying to show you something that doesn't make sense, because that was the one thing I made the books. I made the books to try to be self-explanatory, and if it didn't make sense, then I got to go back to the drawing board. That's all. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't know how to go away though. Oh wait, let me see. Okay, bye
Oh,
bye.
bye.
I'm going away now.
Okay.
I'm not leaving your live. I'm just gonna get off the screen.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I do have to do edits, which was interesting because one thing was I actually did all of these questions just to see if they made sense. And so I actually went back and I edited it. But then it does make sense that I need to add more. Yeah, I need to add more. Oh, I need to refresh. What does that mean? Why do I always have to making sure that I'm still a bot? Okay, verification done. Okay, so that is adding the 9. Now what we can do is we can take away the 9 and it'd be the same thing. So when we take away the 9, we go back to our little subtraction table and notice let's do the addition table. With the addition table, what I did was the 9. So it's easy to see that we have multiple 9s. We have all these 9 questions, except for this one. But we gotta wait. Hold on. So this one is going to be the two-step equation, but we're going to stick with the plus 10s, right? When we make the 10s, and then what we're going to do now is we're going to do the minus 10s. Now the question for the minus 10s is, let's do 17. 17 take away 9. Or let's do even something better. Let's do 15. 15 take away 8. So if we do 15 take away 8, right? It's the same thing. We add 15 on the abacus, 1 and a 5, not a problem, right? And then we minus 18. When we minus 18, have a good night, user 7. Grouping, regrouping, we could call it carrying over, or we could call it borrowing. But in abacus, we just call it plus 10s or minus 10s. So here we're going to do minus the 10, minus 8 is equal to minus the 10 plus the 2. So that's all we're going to do. So this one is, I think we call it borrowing. In regular school, we call it borrowing, right? And then I think in school, it would be considered regrouping. So what are we going to do? We have 15. What we need to do is we need to take away the 10 and then plus the 2. We're going to take away the 10, we're going to take away the 10, and then we're going to add the 2. And we just add the 2. So then my answer is, what's my answer? Anybody ready to put it in the chat what my answer is? 7. Yes, Lady E. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Dandelion. Yes. And bread Kahlua. Yes, exactly. 7. So it makes sense. So, and then that was the other thing that I noticed. Like in school, we use a lot of terminologies, and we talked about borrowing and regrouping. The other one, right? If we did 8 plus 8 is equal to plus the 10 minus the 2, this would be considered grouping and carrying over. And notice we actually start that early, which is really interesting. Like I didn't think about it until like recently, like how early we start grouping and carrying over. What is it called? Grouping and carrying over. Carrying over. So this doesn't make any, this is fine, right? So even when we do 7 plus 8, right? We actually don't do carrying. We actually don't do carry over until we get to double digits. So let's do some double digits. We can do like 17 plus 18, right? 17 plus 18, easy, right? So what are we doing now in school? We're talking about when we do it, we do this first and do this. In Abacus, we actually do the numbers as a whole. What we're going to do is we're going to do 17 first, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do 18. So we do 1, and then we do 8. There's not enough beads to add the 8. So what do? What we need to do is plus the 8 is equal to plus the 10 minus the 2. So I plus the 10 and then minus the 2. Just like that. Make sense? So we don't do carryover because we already do it. We already do it when we started to do it with just the two add-ins and the single digit, right? We already started doing that. But now the reason why we don't do carryover because we don't block it off. Why? So let's take it one step further. Let's take it to, because in Abacus, we actually take it to like a few add-ins. So some of the add-ins we do, right? Let me see. Let me see if this one will work. Okay, so let's do this one, right? So one of my questions is 76 plus 95 plus 13. Now, in mainstream math, what we do the ones first, right? We do the ones first, and then we do the tens, and then that's when you have to start doing carrying over. What? But in Abacus, we don't do it that way. In Abacus, we actually go across the whole number as a whole. And I want to find a new. So here, so I do, this first number, right? So we do 76, and then we do the next number. I'm going to use my abacus to block off the next number because I don't want to get confused because I want to know, want to know where I am. So here, I need to add 95. I'm going to add 95. I add the 9. Is there enough to add the 9? Am I crooked? I'm a little crooked. So we add the 9. Is there enough beads to add the 9? No. How do we add the 9? Plus the 9 is equal to plus the 10 minus 1. So notice I plus the 10. When I plus the 10, that just means I go to the next column over. That is all that it means. There's nothing more to that. There's nothing special. That's all we're doing. We're just going to go to the next column over. So next column over, we're going to add the 10, and then we take away the 1. And then what are we going to do? We're going to plus the 5. So we're going to add the 5 here. Can we add the 5? That's a question. If we can't, what do? How do we add the 5? So one of the formulas is plus the 5 is equal to plus the 10 minus 5. So I'm going to plus the 10, right? I'm going to carry over. I'm putting in air quotes because we're not really carrying over. So I'm going to carry over to the 10. I add my 10. I go back to here to my ones and I take away the 5. Right? Make sense? So then finally, my last question, my last add-in, I'm going to add 13 plus the 1 plus the 3. So I add the 1 and then I add the 3. So again, what I did is I took the number as a whole. I don't break it up. So in Abacus, we take the number as a whole. So then let me know in the comments what number this is, if that makes sense. Let me know what number that is. Wow, there's still 20 people in the room. I'm surprised. Thank you so much. Yeah. So what is the answer? What do we know what this is? So if this is my ones, this is my tens. Grumpy's happy. Hi. 184. Exactly, Dandelion. Exactly. And it makes sense, right? Like it's starting to really see how easy it is. And I know we do like a lot of like 84. Almost, Wendy. Because we forgot the 1 over here. This is the hundreds. So it's ones, tens, hundreds. And that was the one thing like I noticed in school, we're starting to tell the kids to do plus the 10 and so forth. New to this, what do each row column equal to? So this would be the ones, because this is my dot. So we're going to do the ones, the tens, the hundreds. So if you notice, how many beads do you see here? Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry. Okay, Adrian. We have our ones, our tens, our hundreds. Now, looking at it, it's easy to see. We have our one. So this would be 100. Top bead. The top bead will always be 5. So when we look at it, we add it 5, 6, 7, 8. So when I rewrite it, that's what it looks like. If that makes sense. Whew. Allergies are really kicking my butt right now. The wind started picking up. Whew. Okay. Hopefully everybody's still here. Yeah, right? It makes sense because, I mean, once we understand it, and then, like in the beginning, we talked about how to read it. And so when we read the abacus, it's easy to do. One of the things was these dots. So these dots signifies the location of the ones place. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you notice, just as we write 30,000, there's a comma here. This helps us, like, what do you call it? Grouping sections, right, of our numbers. It's the same thing here. We have our ones, tens, hundreds. This is our thousands. This is another dot. If you notice, there's the dots that help us signify which is which, what group we're in. So if this is the ones, then this would be the thousands, just like how we have a comma, because the comma separates everything. If I had a bigger abacus, like this, excuse me, if I had a bigger abacus, this one has 13 columns. It's the same thing. I have these dots, and these dots tell me the groupings. So this would be ones, tens, that makes sense. So the dots help us also label where the groups are. And then after the ones is our decimals. So all of this behind, just as we do this, this would be like money, right? So if I did money, this is $4.25. And that would be the decimal. Notice when we do decimals, $4.25. This decimal doesn't take a place value. It goes right in between the two. So we have our ones, our tenths, and our hundreds. Whew, that was a kicker. Okay, I should be back. But yeah, it was like that tickle in my throat. Whew. Okay, so we can do more adding and subtracting for, double digits, because the reason why we do it this way is so we don't get confused. Hi, young thug. So do we want to do more adding and subtracting? and it gets further on. Yeah. You know what? We got to do a two-step. What does a two-step mean? So now we're going to do one more. We're going to do one more, and we're going to try to understand what that means. So here, let's do 6 plus 7. 6 plus 7. This is super easy. That's going to be easy. We can learn our doubles. That's fine. You could do doubles minus 1. 7 plus 7 minus 1. You could do that. Not a problem. Or you can learn the abacus, which is 6. So we're going to add 6. We have 6. Right? We have 6. And then we have 7. Notice there's not enough beads to plus the 7. There's not enough beads to plus the 7. So what do? Well, we know how to build a 10, right? We know how to build a 10. How do we build a 10 with a 7? 7 plus 3 is equal to 10. We know that we're going to isolate the variable. This 7 is what we're going to isolate. We're going to isolate this 7. So to do that, we need to move the 3. So I'm going to rewrite it to say, yes, exactly, Dandelion. Exactly. So we're going to plus the 7 is equal to plus the 10 minus the 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to plus the 10. So we're going to add the 10. So I want to add the 7 here. We're going to plus the 10. Now we're going to add the 3. Ruh-roh. We can't add the 3. We can't add the 3. No, we can't take away the 3. Sorry, we cannot take away the 3. We don't have enough beads to take away the 3. What we are doing right now is called a two-step equation. So now we're introducing, when we're adding and subtracting, what the two-step equation is. Woo, I am a little warm. What does that mean? Two-step equation. That means we're going to put in one formula into another. Do we know how to take away a 3? Since there's not enough beads to take away the 3, right? There's not enough beads to take away the 3. What's another way to take away the 3? Let's see. Another way to take away the 3. Do 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 do. Take the 5. Exactly. We're going to utilize the 5. So when we do it, we minus the 5. So what is it? Minus 3 is equal to minus the 5 plus the 2. So we have a 5. So we're going to take away the 5 and we're going to plus the 2 and we bring it up together at the same time. So now our answer is 13. This is why this is a two-step equation, because we're no longer doing simple here. We got to add it. Yes, and add the 2. Exactly. So now we're doing is called a two-step equation, because we're now combining the 10 with the 5. And that was another question. So one of the parents was saying, well, I want my child to be like, okay, isn't 8 plus 5 the same as 5 plus 8? Oh, 8 plus 5 is the same as 5 plus 8. Is that the same? And I'm like, no. Why? Because it all depends on the number that we're adding. This number tells us if we're going to do more or less. So when I was explaining it to her, right? When I was explaining to the parent, let's do 8 plus 5. We add the 8, and now we're going to plus the 5. Is there enough? No, there's not enough. So what do we do? Plus the 5 is equal to plus the 10 minus the 5. So I'm going to plus the 10 and I take away the 5. So that gives me 13. Not a problem. Now let's do this one. We have the 5. Now we're going to plus the 8. When we plus the 8, it's the same thing, right? We don't have enough beads. What do? Plus 8 is equal to plus the 10 minus 2. So I'm going to plus the 10 and I take away the 2. Plus the 10, take away the 2. See, now we're going to a two-step equation. This two-step equation is, what do? We take away the 2. When we minus the 2, as we did before, we want to minus the 5 plus the 3. So I'm going to minus the 5 and then plus the 3. And my answer is 13. So even though the answers are the same, it depends on how the process is. Just like a journey, right? We all have the same goal, but we don't go down the same path. That got really philosophical. But yeah. And it's interesting, right? Like for me, it's like almost 12 o'clock at night and people still want to learn how to do math. So, so does that make sense? I mean, that's why you have to be careful with the questions before you start testing the children. I wouldn't test the children unless you knew what specific questions you're talking about. So that's why, being very specific to the questions to do certain things, because now you get into the realm of having a two-step. Some kids will get it right away because they can see it. Some kids won't. And that's you have to kind of tread lightly. But as you go through it, all the kids understand it. As long as they memorize the 5s and the 10s, they will do well. If they don't, then it'll be difficult. If they don't know, just like if they don't know their multiplication, right? So I've seen an abacus with 2 beads and 5 spaces instead of 1. Does that make it harder? Actually, no. It just makes it more redundant. So here is my abacus. That's the abacus. This is the abacus you're talking about. Yavi, you're talking about the Chinese abacus. The Chinese abacus is cool, and it's older than the Japanese abacus, but what did the Japanese do? As they all do, they make everything more efficient. The Japanese make it more efficient, which is great because I enjoy the Japanese abacus as opposed to the Chinese abacus. Because we were doing this. I was doing this once. I was like, woo. All right. So 4 and then 5. We have 5. How do I know? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Not a problem, right? Oh, it's only 9 a.m. in Sweden. Ah, okay then. So then doing math is easy right now. Okay, so this is 5 on the Chinese abacus, and this is 5 on the Japanese abacus. Well, Chinese abacus still has 5. This is also 5. Now the problem I see is now my brain needs to remember if this is 5 or this is 5. So now there's 2 ways my brain has to remember what 5 is. Okay, so let's carry on. We do 6, this is 6. This is 7, this is 7. 8, 8, 9, 9, and then 10, right? So just as we write 1 and 0, that's 10. Now, the problem, this is 10. Why is this a problem? Because now we're not logically thinking that this is the place value. Because before we were thinking this is the place value, this is the ones, this is the tens. That makes sense. But now when we combine them, it doesn't make sense anymore. And here's another thing. We have 10 here. This is also 10. And then this is also 10. So now my brain has to remember 3 ways to understand what 10 is. So I would have to really think about it. So when we do this one question, let's do this question. Let's do this one question. So we have 76. Let me move my abacus so we could see. Right? So we have the number 76. So I'm going to add 70, 70, and I add my 6. Not a problem. So now I have my 95. Oh, 95. I add a 9. How do I add a 9? I have 7 here. So what I can do is I can plus the 10. Plus the 9. Plus the 10 minus the 1. I'm just going to do that. Right? And then I have 5. Well, I can either... Okay, so I'm going to add 5. I can add 5 like that. Yeah. Or I could exchange it and do this. Take these 2 out and put it here. I could do that too. There's a lot of exchanging. And then you have to really think. I have to really think about it because I don't normally do the Chinese abacus. I usually do the Japanese abacus. So now we're going to add 13. So I add 1 and I add 3. Well, that was easy. So then I have to count, right? I have 184. Yeah. So is it harder? It's a little bit harder. If you had the Chinese abacus, you could still do it as a Japanese abacus. You would just ignore the top bead, the very most top bead, and the very most bottom bead. You could do that too. If that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it works kind of the same, but it's a little bit redundant. The moving of the beads, sometimes it gets a little redundant. Yeah. The Japanese makes more sense. Yeah, right? Because, yeah, and I didn't, and when I was looking through it, I was like, but yeah, Japanese, I do think they just made it more efficient. So what's the difference between the brown one and the colorful one? It's just a different color. Are they the same? They're roughly the same. If you think, depending on what, where your eyes are, if you think that the colorful one is too overwhelming, like it's overstimulation, you could use this one. If you want to continue on, I would recommend taking the 13 column one because it will give you a wider range of your numbers. This one, you can only do so much with it with the multiplication and division. It's easier to do multiplication and division with the bigger abacus and the with the dots as well. So depending on where you are with the dots, you could do this to start with your ones, or you can go all the way here with your ones. So the range for the 13 column is a lot wider than, obviously, than here, than the smaller one. The smaller one I usually use for the kids, 3, 4, and 5, because the questions are not that big. Yeah. So, I mean, we can continue on doing more adding and subtracting, or we can do multiplication. Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? So, hey, Hamburger, how you doing? Whew, 14 people still here. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for the hearts and the crowns and the roses. Okay, so, what are we doing? We're going to do more adding. Okay, we can do more adding. Let me get a question. Here is one question. Whoa, you know what? We'll do 3 digits. So we will do 3 digits. What does that mean? Why are we going to do 3? We'll do 3. We'll do 3. We'll do 3 because it's interesting. And we'll see how many digits we can go. So the question is 790 minus 486, 657, and then minus 580. This is the question we're going to do. Now, is it intimidating? No, it's not. You know why? Because we don't go by ones. We don't do ones and then the tens and then the hundreds. What we're going to do on the abacus is we take it as a whole. So the first number we're going to do, and I'm going to use the abacus to help me cover it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 790. Just like as I said before, this is the ones, this is the tens, this is the hundreds. So when I add my 790, I'm going to put 790 and 0. So now I'm going to move my abacus down a little bit so I can see the next number. So it doesn't confuse me, right? Because this is a lot of numbers and sometimes we'll get confused. So you can use your abacus to help you know where your placement is. So now I'm going to do is take away 400, take away 800, take away 486. So here I take away 400. Is there enough to take away 4? Minus the 4 is equal to minus the 5 plus the 1. So I'm going to take away the 5 and plus the 1, right? And then I have to go here because I'm going to take away 86. So I take away 8 and then I take away 6. I take away 8 and then I take away 6. Is there enough to take away 6? No. So how do I make a 10? Minus the 6 is equal to minus the 10 plus the 4. So I'm going to minus the 10, I'm going to plus the 4. Okay, my running total right now is 303. When the kids are going through problems like this, sometimes it's helpful to have a running total. So just in case they make a mistake at the end, you can always go back to your total and see where you've made the mistake. This was the one thing that helped my kids when they were going through Abacus, because it gets really mind-numbing when you go through a lot of questions and a lot of numbers. So I'm going to go to the next question. I'm going to move my Abacus down a little bit just to see the number. So my number is add 657. So I add 6. Is there enough? Yes. 304? Oh, yes, 304. You're right. Absolutely right. Thank you so much for correcting me. Yes. So, yeah, see? Running total. Okay. Add the 6. So I'm going to add the 6. I add the 50, right? I add the 5. And then I plus the 7. Plus the 7 is plus the 10 minus 1, minus 3. Yeah, a little bit tired, but it's still exciting. So plus the 7. So I'm going to add the 7. So I'm going to plus the 10, take away the 3. I plus the 10, and I take away the 3. I'm going to move my abacus down. Oh, wait. So my running number, right, after this is what? 9, 6, 1. Right? So I'm going to move my abacus some more to my final number. So now I'm going to take away 580. Take away 5? Yes, I'm going to take away 5. I'm going to take away 8. Is there enough to minus the 8? No. So what do? Minus the 8 is equal to minus the 10 plus the 2. So I take away the 10 and I plus the 2. So then my final answer is, what is my final answer? If you can put it in the chat. And I think this will be my last question. I think it's time to head to bed. It's about 12 o'clock for me right now. So my final answer is 381. Exactly. 381. 381. You forgot the 5 up the top. We have the 5 at the top. Yeah, because we did it here. 381. Okay? So, I mean, it's exciting that everybody's like getting it, but it makes sense, right? But yeah. Whew. So if you're, as an adult, if you want to do it, I would recommend getting the 13 column. If you want to introduce your children to it, I would recommend doing the, yeah, right? Um, I see it. So exciting. Oh, it's so good. Wow, first time seeing math like this. Cool. Oh, yeah. Cool. Thank you, Hamburger. Um, depending on how old the children are, I would, what was it? Ages 3, ages 4, ages 5, 6 would enjoy it. I think so. 7 would also enjoy it. But when they get to be older, like sometimes they're getting into their little emo stage. You might want to do this, or if it's too overstimulating, if the colors are too much, then you can do with the the single color. My kids all did it with the single color. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think it's a novelty to have it with the multiple colors. That's all it is. Right. All right. So if anybody else have any other questions, wow, there's still 15 people in the room. Thank you everybody for staying on board. Like it's just one of those things. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments or questions, I mean anything about Abacus really. um. Okay. So if there's no other questions, I'm going to sign off. It's been about 2 hours and so, and a little bit. I'm going to look for you tomorrow. Oh, fantastic! It might be a little sketchy tomorrow because my older son's in a track meet, so I'm not sure when and where and how, but I'm probably most likely in the morning and maybe again at night. So that's been so far my routine. But I do enjoy going through and just talking about it. But I'm going to go back to my workbook and I will get that modified. So thank you again, Dandelion, for your question. Wow, thank you for your time and the hard work. Yeah, you're welcome, Yavi. Let me know if you have any questions and catch me again on my live. Yeah, follow me if whenever you're what was it? It was follow me for notifications. If Alma's still here, thank you so much for your help. Um, yeah. Yeah, I didn't like yeah. This is all still very new to me, going live and stuff and like connecting with other people about Abacus. Cuz the kids don't ask questions. But anyways, thank you again everybody. It's been wonderful and I do appreciate it. Yeah, next time you catch me and you have any questions, bring it on out and I will answer your questions that has anything to do with Abacus. And I will see everybody the next time. Have a good night everybody and thank you again. Thank you Yavi for sharing my life. Thank you, and thank you for following me. I do appreciate it. I'm trying to modernize Abacus. I'm gonna Abacify as much as I can. All right. Thank you again, everybody. Have a good night, and I will see you in the next live. Bye, everybody.